What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to a special video here. We thought we'd have a little bit of fun. So Connor has asked the good folks of the Anfield Agenda Instagram account to give us some unpopular opinions for myself and Mr. James Redmond here to debate. Now, I haven't seen them. James hasn't seen them, but Connor's going to read them out to us and we're going to react in real time. So, Connor, without any further ado, let's go.
We are a better side without Jordan Henderson.
Can I start? Can I start?
Go ahead, my mate. Go ahead.
Absolute nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. I appreciate a topic for the show, but I feel like the stats back it up. The win ratio with Henderson in the team backs it up. Maybe he's not the right suit for every single match, but for the majority of games, I feel like we're a much more balanced side with Henderson. There's not many people in the Premier League who can do what he does. I don't think he's world class at any one thing, but I think he's very decent at everything. Defending, passing, going forward, filling in roles. I feel like that's exactly what you need, and you look at how important Trent is to our side. He's only that important because Henderson allows him the freedom to burst forward. Otherwise, I think that's just a ridiculous statement that you can't even debate, to be honest.
I'm hurt here. I'm absolutely hurt. I think we will look back and appreciate Jordan Brian Henderson in the future for the goddamn hero that he is and the leader that he is. So I fully back up my my esteemed colleagues' views here. I think it's a ridiculous statement.
DIOGO JOTA is the best Portuguese forward in the Premier League.
Well, my man or lady is spitting facts. Love him. He's not DIOGO. We've called him DIOGO for a reason. And look, there's a certain aging Portuguese player there up the road to Manchester who may beg to differ, but I don't give a shite what he has to say. DIOGO JOTA is the best Portuguese player in the Premier League.
I have to echo my colleague there, 100%. He's the best Portuguese player in the world. Bernardo Silva, who? Bruno, what? Cristiano, niche. You know what I'm saying? Listen, it's the new era, baby. We're in the 21st century. We're in the 2020s. DIOGO JOTA's taken over. He is the man. He is the sensation. He's got an average goal of like every 75 minutes since he's joined the club. One of the most under-talked about great transfers of recent history, and deserves to put respect on his name. And he's a big game player, scores in big games. So I think he definitely deserves to be in that conversation. Just 23.
Salah should win the Ballon d'Or.
No, I don't think he should win this year's Ballon d'Or. I think he will be in the conversation properly for next year's Ballon d'Or because it's based off what he's doing in this season's competitions. For me, look, I'm very firm in the belief that I think Robert Lewandowski's been robbed of a Ballon d'Or. I'd love to see him get it, but I fear that it will go to somebody less deserving.
I agree with the no, but I disagree with who should win it, because Mo Salah, you've got to remember, Liverpool, not just Salah, and you can't blame Salah, he was the one, let's be real, he got his second highest scoring season last year with 31 goals, unbelievable across all competitions. This season, he's only elevated to a new level, and if he's had this level, because he is different now than what he was last season, in a much better way, then yeah, he'd be in this conversation, even without the trophies. And listen, Mini Mo is getting upset as I'm saying all this, and it is devastating, but for me, it's Lionel Messi. Wins something for his international team. He won a cup with a very, very depleted Barcelona last season. Therefore, I think he's the one who deserves the shout, even above Robert Lewandowski, who I thought the year before, he most certainly got robbed of getting that award.
Van Dijk has been the best centre-back in the league this season.
No, I think his partner has. I think Joe Matip has been the best centre-back this season. Well, certainly at our club. I think Van Dijk's getting back there, but, you know, Chelsea have had some good centre-back performances as well, to be fair. And, you know, Tony Rudiger's been doing bits there for them at both ends of the pitch. So, you know, I think we've got to be somewhat realistic. I do like Joe Matip. I think he's been our best player, but I will concede that perhaps maybe somebody else could be more deserving at this moment.
I think Thiago Silva gets put under the radar a lot as well with the goals that he puts in for Chelsea and the defensive output that he puts at that age. I feel, you know, the experience he brings to the game and the quality that he possesses, because he's great on the ball as well as off the ball. I feel like he's someone that needs to be talked about in that conversation. Chelsea have conceded 4 goals this season. With respect to Matip, he hasn't really been flawless, but he's been amazing and world class. And I feel like now, week by week, people are starting to realise why Joel Matip, at least in my opinion, Craig, and feel free to disagree, is top 5 centre-backs in the league. Therefore, I feel he deserves a shout, and he deserves to be in the conversation, but you can't ignore the likes of Ruben Diaz, who's carried over his form from last season, and the likes of Thiago Silva and Rudiger, as you've mentioned.
Yeah, look, one thing that we will all agree on is the fact that we aren't even discussing the world's most expensive defender in this conversation. Just makes it that bit more satisfying.
But Joel Matip can actually dribble, unlike all the other centre-backs, maybe by Thiago Silva.
There we go. Joel Matip.
Clear of Varane. Clear of Varane.
Right, following on from that then, Joe Gomez is our second best defender.
Nonsense.
Yeah, I have to disagree with that one. I feel like we've just talked about our two best centre-backs at the club when they're actually fit. You know, Joel Matip's had a history of his injuries. That being said, Joel Gomez doesn't get talked about enough. I do feel like we forget how much importance he brought to us winning the league and as well as the Champions League. He is still a really, really good player. He'd walk into most Premier League sides in the league, and not only to mention, he doesn't get talked about for England enough, and that's because of his injuries. Otherwise, you're looking at one of the best young prospects to come through over recent years. Therefore, he doesn't get talked about enough, but he's not the top two best centre-backs. But that's no slander on the one, the only, Josephine Gomez.
See, one thing I would add to that is the thing that makes, and I believe, you know, not to be pedantic, but I believe the word was defender that was used, not centre-back. So we have to take into account their full-backs and that as well. But for me, and I would even add Fabinho into that conversation if we're talking about defensive capability. But I've always been a little bit worried about Joe Gomez ball watching, particularly if he plays at right back. I was really concerned about him ball watching at times.
Klopp's small squad vision doesn't work and is holding us back.
I can understand. I can get both sides of this debate, because I love why Klopp wants the small squad and gets the buy-in from the players, gives everybody ample minutes, but at the same time, it comes to haunt you if you do have a raft of injuries, and we have had a raft of injuries over the past couple of seasons. So I get where the person is coming from, and I won't maybe ridicule them like some of the other ones, but I'll hand it over to my man James.
I think just the way he's worded that is harsh, but I do understand the point also. That being said, I feel with what he's achieved over the years, being able to compete with Manchester City as long as he has, I feel like it's kind of proven him right with the amount that we've spent. That, listen, you've got to kind of listen to Jurgen Klopp, and if he feels having a smaller squad is what's best, even though we might not agree with every decision, in the main, it's better than what most managers would be able to withstand during these circumstances. Therefore, the wording's a little bit harsh for me, but again, like you, Craig, I get the point.
Thiago has been a flop.
Too early to say, and even at that, look, I've been broaching this subject a little bit, not with regards to a flop. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, but you know, there's a couple of ways to look at it. And look, I'll go back and forth with James on this one. And James, the first thing I'd say to you is, he was 25 million. I mean, that alone is a bargain. So we have 100%. To look at, do we get 25 million quid's worth of Thiago Alcantara? And I say to you, my friend, we absolutely have.
Yeah, do you know what, Craig? There's this notion that Thiago has had more bad games than good games in a Liverpool shirt. I've said it plenty of times. He was one of our better players in the final 10 games of last season. This season, Leeds stands out. The most recent game against Arsenal, where he absolutely pulled strings. But people like to go with the media. He's not the match of the day player. He's not the one who's going to get the goals or the assists, except he never done that at Bayern Munich. So why are we going to hold him to a standard when he's never been that type of player to get goals and assists? And because he's not, therefore he's not good enough. My man was injured for the first 6 months of his Liverpool career because he got taken out. It's ludicrous for me to suggest this soon in that he is a flop. And I actually also feel that it just further shows that when you're a Liverpool player, it just comes to a different standard that people just don't want to see you do well, Craig. Thiago is world class, one of the elite midfielders in world football, and deserves to be given more respect.
I will quite simply put it into one sentence. Thiago Alcantara is the midfielder's midfielder.
He is a sexy bastard also, that's what I'd put it up in.
Mane is criminally underrated.
Well, I have no better person to pitch this one over to than the man on the other side of the screen to me, with Mini Mane there. Over to you, Mr. Redmond.
Mini Mane is the one that's brought a lot of life back into real Mane. I feel I bought this in the summer, and Mane's been back ever since. 7 goals this season, second top goal scorer behind Mohamed Salah. I feel like a lot of people are easy and quick to jump on. You're as good as your last game, and Mane last season for sure had an underachieving season. Still scored double figures. Also still scored some big goals for us last year, but this season has kicked on to a whole nother level. He is not just some little side piece that you get rid of because they've had a bad day. He is someone that you know is going to make your squad better. He is someone that will win you trophies, and what Connor is to Anfield's agenda, as I've said before, is what Sadio Mane is to Liverpool Football Club, the silent assassin, and he will kill you with a smile on his face.
All I will add to that is amen.
We won't win a trophy this season.
We're winning the Champions League. Obviously, James, this person hasn't gotten the memo, but, you know, I thought I'd put it out there. You know, we're winning the Champions League
Number
this year.
7's
Take
coming.
that to the bank.
Number 7's coming, Craig. You're too right, my friends. It's number 7 is on the horizon, so get ready, Liverpool fans. But also, I feel we've got a good shot for the League Cup this year. I feel like the squad depth, even though a lot of people might not suggest it's at its strongest. Let's be real. Minamino's doing a job. Origi, the king of the League Cup, he's doing a job. We've got Leicester City who are in poor form. We're going to be playing them in the quarterfinals. I feel like we've got a very good chance against them. Some of the big dogs have been knocked out of the competition, like Manchester City. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say these are the big dog no more in Man United, but still it makes it easier for us that they're not there. Therefore, I think we actually have a good shot at that. So you said a trophy, not a major trophy. The League Cup for me is a big possibility, and I'd love it.
The League Cup will be the cherry on the nipple on top of the Champions League. So absolutely. We'll have both, why not?
It sets the tempo for the rest of the season as well. So let's be greedy and just get all the trophies.
Gerrard should not be Liverpool manager after Klopp.
I don't know how... I don't think anybody can realistically answer that question. You know, he won't get it for the reasons Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got the job at Manchester United. But if he earns it, I think the trajectory is certainly pointing towards Steven Gerrard eventually becoming the manager of Liverpool Football Club. It is just a matter of timing, aligning, and I don't think Steven Gerrard will throw Aston Villa under a bus if 2024 comes along and Klopp moves on. I think Steven Gerrard is a man of his word, and I think he believes he has a job to do at Villa, and I think it's too soon to say what may or may not happen. That's my take.
I don't know what's more ridiculous, mixing, you know, putting tomato sauce on a piece of bread or suggesting that Gerrard cannot be the Liverpool manager. Way too soon to come up with that conclusion, in my opinion. I feel like what he's done in his career so far, you mentioned the word trajectory, which is a word that I struggle to say most certainly. That being said, I feel like, you know, being invincible, Rangers won the league in the best possible fashion, won it for the first time in God knows how many years for them as well, stopping number 10 from Celtic, and then going to Aston Villa, a club also on the up, someone who's going to back Steven Gerrard. I feel like by the time we get to 2024, we're going to have more of a case study and also going to want to give him a chance, so why not? Listen, I'm predicting Steven Gerrard is still going to win the Premier League with Liverpool, and it's going to be gorgeous when it happens.
We should be more worried about Mane's contract than Salah's.
I think a situation where we've got 3 forwards running down 18 months on their contract is a worrying situation. I don't think we should be more worried or as worried, but I think it's certainly something that needs to be addressed, and I think it'll be telling who doesn't get a contract renewal. I think that's the one for me. I'm waiting to see who doesn't get the offer.
Although I agree, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's avocado. A lot of these players have been at the club for multiple seasons. It's very rare, even with the best trios that you've ever seen, Messi, Neymar and Suarez being one of them, they don't really last more than 3 or 4 seasons. So Craig, I'd just like to ask you the question, do you think it's a possibility, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about out of Mane and Firmino, which I suppose answers your question from my point of view. Do you think that maybe it'd be better if we start to move on?
For me, there was an article a few weeks ago that made my mind up, and it's my favourite player at the football club, but yeah, I feel it'll be the right one to move on, and people are going to hate me for it, but listen, I think Bobby Firmino will be the one that's sacrificed, and the reason that I say it is because the phrase troublesome hamstring injuries, if that hamstring is causing concern, if that is going to be a recurring thing, then I think the other 2 are fairly bulletproof with injuries. So I wonder if Klopp will, you know, begrudgingly look at the situation and go, maybe it's Bobby's time to move on.
We should sign Declan Rice to replace Wijnaldum.
Yeah, sure, we should sign Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and anybody else that we can mythically afford at this point. 100 million quid is going to be what he goes for, and there's no way we're spending 100 million quid on anybody except Jude Bellingham.
But for the player that Declan Rice is, I'd absolutely take him. I feel like he's one of the more underrated players in the Premier League, and I think he'd come into our team and do a great job. The only problem is he'd be guaranteed he'd have, or he'd want to come in and play games. Does he play that holding role as well as Fabinho does? No. We don't play a holding midfield of 2 players. We like to play Fabinho and then let the other 2 advance further forward. Even though I rate Declan Rice's going forward ability, that's probably not what he'd want to come to Liverpool for. And also I think there'd be other options that'd be more appeasing, let's say, to him, such as Chelsea, a club that he, you know, supported growing up.
Tsimikas should be our starting left back.
Yes.
I don't think there's a definitive answer on this, and I think people get upset really quickly if you say he should. And I think, as James has alluded to, right now I think the shirt is his, and I think you have to win the shirt back off him. But I do think that it's a beautiful headache to have, and I think, you know, Andy Robertson rightly deserves all the respect many Liverpool fans give him in this conversation. But I do think James is right.
competition is key at the end of the day. Competition is key in any squad, and Tsimikas is bringing the sword to Robertson at the moment, and it's beautiful to see because he is a really good player. One thing I would also suggest, maybe you don't have to have the one that plays every single week. We saw it many times before. Manchester City make a lot of changes. Chelsea can make a lot of changes on a week-to-week basis. It's good to change the squad. What is the best opposition, or what is the best player that suits the opposition more? Tsimikas is more creative, and then Robertson is the one who's going to beat the press. There's many different teams who play many different styles, so they'd be great for both games. As you mentioned, it's the best headache to have that you can possibly get, because we're not notorious for having great left backs. Alberto Moreno.
Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard what I've had to say, you've heard what Mr. Redmond has had to say, but we want to know what you have to say, so please do let us know in the comment section below. Drop a like on the video, and of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We will talk to you soon.